This keynote will be about open data, especially public open data in the EU. There were already some presentation before. Actually, Marco provided one this morning about Open Data Directive. There were yesterday some talks about the open data. So the topic is, of course, very important. But the question is, what are the pros and cons, especially now, today, in these new circumstances? And we are all aware that we are not living in a perfect world, unfortunately. There are many very bad events happening right now around the world, in Europe as well. And the question arises, should really the data should be open or not? Should we hide some of data? Should we be considering threats? Are there any threats, risks of misusing open data? So many questions, and there are many discussions around the Europe. Last time I was in Athens, FOSS4GE conference, there were people from Slovakia who are very concerned about, especially about some data sets regarding infrastructure, traffic, energy resources, and so on. So the answer to this question is not easy. The idea of this maybe just say to foster discussion about that, to see what we can do. Should we do anything? Should we continue? Nothing is happening. Or should we be considered all and those threats that are going on? Okay, saying that. First, very shortly about me. I'm coming from University of Martin in Croatia, and I'm also a guest professor in Mostar on the Department of Geodesy. Before starting as a full professor at the University of North, I was working at the GRC for the European Commission 8 years. And before that, I started my academic career at the Geodesy University of Geodesy. And then, I spent a lot of time at some other universities, Munich, KU Leuven, where I was also guest professor, Bochum, Hochschule, and so on and so on. So, but it's not about me. It was just very quickly. We all know about the open data, so I probably don't have to read this. What are the principles of open data? Public, machine-readable, licensed, with free open licenses, free of charge. There are many others. We will see principles. But what I said, the question is, are there any risks with those open data? Are there any threats? Is someone already misusing those open data? What about AI? We are all talking today about artificial intelligence, machine learning, and so on and so on. Could it be misused as well in some points? Yeah, these are all open questions. I would say probably I cannot provide a right answer, but maybe we can all think about this and discuss. And maybe together we can come to some conclusions. Here probably also know about this Open Data Charter principles. There are 6 of them, starting open by default, timely and comprehensive, accessible and usable, comparable, interoperable, for improved governance and citizens' engagement, for inclusive development and innovation. And it's at the end of the day, it's all about the business. There's also a nice talk, it was yesterday, about business with open data. And for sure that open data brings many benefits to the society, for economy, for everything. So there is no doubt about that. It is also closely connected to the FAIR principles, and there are also talks about fairness. I think Marco provided one presentation yesterday where we all know that the data should be findable, accessible, interoperable, and usable. and views. So these are all very nice things. What about geospatial open geospatial data when we are coming to public sector data in Europe? Data we also know we already heard familiar with Inspire, and Marco was also presenting today. It started, let's say, in 2007. Even also before, we all know that the discussion Inspire about European spatial data starts somewhere in 2000. Documents, strategic GI in Europe, and then it took several years. I think the first draft of the directive was 2004, and finally the directive was published in 2007. With the final goal or ultimate goal, let's say, to create pan-European spatial data infrastructure, but based on the national spatial infrastructure. Where we are today, first of all, we know that there are 34 data teams divided in 3 annexes. And the Annex 1 and Annex 2 are, let's say, more georeference data. And the very broad scope is actually the Annex 3. And there are many, well, very interesting things, as I already said, like production, industrial facilities, energy resources, buildings, etc., etc. I will not read them all. But many of them are actually very sensitive. Also coming to Annex 1, for example, cadastral data, very sensitive. So where is the, let's say, balance between publishing some personal data there or not? Because, for example, I will just give you an example from Croatia, where I'm coming from. When you look at the cadastral parcels, and when you click on it, you can find also the name of the owner. You cannot search by the owner name, but you can easily find who is the actual owner of the parcel. We can say sensitive or not. Okay, where are we with Inspire? As Marco pointed today on his presentation, we have this monitoring and reporting. It is ongoing every year. Now it will be, if I understood correctly, every 2 years or something like that. But there are many indicators, basically, which are automatically calculated from the metadata, and we can clearly see the progress. I think the situation is still not ideal, because there are many spatial data sets which we can find on the national geoportal, which are not harvested by Inspire geoportal. And maybe that's normal, because at the end, it's all about the users. We all know that. So basically, the users probably use more national data sets and not really Inspire data sets. I would say the most or the biggest user of Inspire data sets is actually the Commission itself. Different DGs, starting from Eurostat, who are really using those data sets, Inspire harmonized data sets. But let's slowly see agenda here. So what happened? So Inspire came in 2007. But we are witnessing really, maybe we can call it policy evolution at the EU. There are many new acts, regulatives, directives, and so on, which came into force in recent years. Starting from this Open Data Directive in 2009, which was basically replacement of DSI Directive. Then I think the very big trigger was data strategy in 2020. Then the Governance Act, 2022, regulation of high-value data sets, 2023, so-called Data Act in 2024, and also recently, last year, we got this new interoperable Europe. So these all pieces, from this, I think we can clearly see this importance of data, especially open data at the EU scale. And every piece of this regulation is very important. Starting from Open Data Directive, I will not repeat. Also, Marco was talking about that today a lot, but it addresses data, not only geospatial data, but all basically data coming from public sector. Very important, and we can say somehow that actually this Open Data Directive is complementing Inspire Directive. And what is more important, we will see, is of course this high value data sets regulation. The next one, European strategy for data, very important. It somehow started with those data spaces, which is today very important hot topic, we can say. There are many projects connected to the development of data spaces. It started, I think, with 9. Now there's 14 or something like that. You can see it here on this picture on the right. For agriculture, energy, and so on and so on. I will not read all of those. But these are all, I would say, very important things where we are trying to develop kinds of data spaces in different areas, especially for the AI, to be able to feed the AI in the different sectors. And it's all relying more or less on public open data. Then Data Governance Act, which I already mentioned, with the aim to increase data availability, increase trust in data sharing, overcome technical obstacles to reuse data, and so on and so on. Another one, very important as well, high-value data sets, implementing regulation, where we have basically those 6 areas where data should be open, machine provided and provided open licenses, and machine free of charge and free of charge. There are many, of course, geospatial data sets there, category geospatial, where basically Inspire data teams are included. And if I'm not wrong, more than 25 data teams are considered in this category of geospatial. There are also many other categories, from earth observation, meteorological, statistics, companies, so business, so mobility, so many data sets, which should be free of charge. Everyone can use them. Everyone can for commercial, for non-commercial purpose. Very good. Very good. Data Act aim to enable a fair distribution of the value of data and making more data available to companies, citizens, and public administration. As well, very important piece of regulation. And then finally, last year we got also this Interoperable Europe Act with the aim to strengthen cross-border interoperability and cooperation in the public sector across the EU. So all of those pieces, let's say, we can put them in one puzzle, are very important when we are speaking about open data, benefits of open data. And we are all very happy today that we have those open data, that we can find them even through open data portals, other portals. We can use them without charges, and so on for commercial, non-commercial, academic purposes, for research. I think it's really nice. We cannot complain about that. If we just look at these figures about the benefits of the open data, we can see many areas where we have benefits, starting from economy, developing innovative services, creating new business models, performance, improving quality, improving efficiency of public services, social, improving transparency, accountability, enhanced participation, and so on and so on. There are probably many of the benefits which we can put on these slides, and also these impressive numbers of the savings, jobs created, and so on and so on. We can say really great. But, as I said at the beginning, we are not living in the perfect times. Unfortunately, we all see still ongoing this Ukraine war, which is of course not nice, and we cannot see the end. I think if we start to discuss about it, who knows well when it will end up, what is going on there, what are the interests, Middle East conflict. We were all surprised when it started. Nobody believed that something like that in the 21st century will come here, especially in this region. We have this former Yugoslav war, it was horrible in the 90s. After that, that Europe had some kind of peaceful time, some peaceful period. But then it started again. First with Ukraine, first Middle East. We are witnessing terrorist attacks in Europe, around the world, around cyber attacks. Are we starting now global trade war? These are all, I would say, yeah, not nice things, not nice things. And then when we have the open data, maybe we should question, should we really open how it misused, and what are the risks, of all of those data. Open Data Institute published basically some kind of the guidelines, aiming to see what are actually the threats and risks when we are speaking about the open data. And they basically defined four categories: legal and regulatory, ethical, reputation, and commercial risks. So there are four categories, and then if you look in those guidelines, you will see then also some subcategories of the different risks connected with the open data. And we know that in this geopolitical environment, it is very difficult to see and to recognize maybe all those threats and risks, and what are the consequences of all of this. In the paper which was presented last year on the FOSS4GE in Estonia from our Finnish colleagues, I don't know if they're here today or not at the conference, but very nice paper which I am recommending. They put some very interesting facts about the risks and threats connected with the open data sets. First, that every data set is potentially associated with a number of risks. And as I put, like just as examples, when we are speaking about utility, governmental services, which is one of the Inspire data team, where we also have critical infrastructure, there are many data which can be very easily misused. Or for example, production and industrial facilities, buildings, energy resources, and so on and so on. Many data themes which are, let's say, very sensitive and potentially very risky. Of course, as it says, the usefulness of open geospatial data sets, it's not limited to just beneficial or wanted users. There are probably many non-wanted users or people who would misuse these open data sets. So the risk should be addressed and managed before the data can be published. So we have to think in advance what we can publish, what is better not, and so on. But of course, also there are many regulations which are fostering this openness. But should we really open all of this? So basically, coming to that, risk mitigation is very important. Risk assessment must always somehow benefit the benefits of publishing, as well as the drawbacks of leaving the data unpublished. And of course, data that clearly may endanger either national security or individual privacy should not be published as open data. I think we can all agree with that. Sorry. Coming to my end of my talk, I will not conclude. I will not anything because I'm also not sure. I'm also not convinced. I'm not what we should do. But maybe we can ask ourselves. Well, how to properly balance transparency and protection of the data. Should we reassess the open data policy, especially in these horrible times, especially in these countries which are endangered? Yeah? Maybe there's a question, or should we just do nothing, business as usual, and let's see what will happen. Let's see will someone misuse the data or not, or are we secure enough? Yeah, I think maybe the answer could be that we should think about these mitigation strategies. So probably either build or rebuild kind of a new strategies in these unsecure times. Well, maybe there are also other things that we should consider, but these are just some of the, let's say, open questions which at the moment I cannot provide you any right answer. I'm also not sure. I think we should do something, that is for sure, because the future is unpredictable and we don't know what tomorrow brings, what will happen, and so on and so on. But it seems that, yeah, as I said, we are not living in the perfect world.